I'm sure I wasn't the only one who looked askance and said to himself, why is the forest got 2 squares? DeForest was so impressed with himself. What I'm about to tell you is the God's truth. He wrote DEFOROT in cement. He forgot to spell his name. The man is too old to do any more movies. I love DeForest almost as much as I love our next guest, Leonard Nimoy. What I remember about yesterday is it's true. DeForest Kelly's name is about that big, and he left out the S. But George Takei, who plays obviously Sulu on Star Trek, thinks he's a Vulcan. And he had his hand, he must have had an operation on his hand, because his hand has been in permanent condition like this. Permanently. Wherever he goes, his hand is like that, see. They asked Jimmy Doohan, is this the last Star Trek movie? Jimmy Doohan has a 3-word reply. It's a ploy. Jimmy, do you think the studio really means it this time? Is this really the final Star Trek film? It's a ploy. Jimmy, what's your name? It's a ploy. They're great people, great people. A couple of weeks ago, the Variety magazine, which is our daily show business newspaper in Los Angeles, very famous. You've probably heard of Variety. They tell all the news about what's going on in our business in television and films, theater, radio, music. And they ran a section that had to do with the 25th anniversary of Star Trek, because this is our 25th anniversary this year. They keep reminding us of that, trying to make it. And they did a wonderful thing that I remember about 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month after we went on the air, I was riding with Bill in an open car down Hollywood Boulevard in the annual Thanksgiving parade. They have this parade every year, and they ask celebrities, people who are on the new TV shows and what have you, and some of the very old and famous film stars come out, and you ride in a convertible down the street, and there are thousands and thousands of people lining Hollywood Boulevard. It's a big community event. And along the way, they have people with microphones announcing who's coming. Well, here he comes now, star of such and such. Here he is, so-and-so. And here comes the star of Columbo, Peter Falk. And hey! And as we were driving down the street, we're riding side by side. Here they come, the stars of the new television series, science fiction series just went on the air, Star Trek. Here they are, William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy. I swear. And Bill turned to me and said, you'll remember that for a long time. I still remember it. Now, the reason I mention it is because they published in Variety last week, they republished the review that Variety gave us when we first went on the air in September of 1966. And I thought you'd enjoy hearing what our show business Bible said about us the first week we went on the air. This was dated September, it appeared on September 14th, 1966, just a little over 25 years ago. It said, Star Trek with William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy, and the rest, DeForest Kelly, Nichelle Nichols, Grace Lee Whitney, George Takei, and so forth. And producer Gene Roddenberry, director Mark Daniels. And it says NBC, Thursdays at 8:30, 60 Minutes, and it says Star Trek won't work. That's the opening line. Then it says, an incredible and dreary mess of confusion. Trudged on for a long hour with hardly any relief from violence, killings, hypnotic stuff, and a distasteful, ugly monster. This was a show about a salt sucker, wasn't it? Then it goes on to say, by a generous stretch of the imagination, it could lure a small coterie of the small fry. The performers are in there pitching, but the odds are against them in all departments: script, direction, and overall production. William Shatner appears wooden, it says. I didn't say it. It says it here, right? I've never heard him accused of being wooden before. You know? Spock! Scotty! I need warp speed in 4 minutes, we're all dead. Then it says, the same goes for Leonard Nimoy. Co-starred as Mr. Spock. Listen to this. So-called chief science officer whose bizarre hairdo, etc., is a dilly. It's a... The bottom line is the biggest guessing game is figuring out how this lowercase Fantasia broke into the schedule. Is that great? I just got a fan letter. Dear Mr. Nimoy, I'm an avid moviegoer and a big fan of your acting. Both my wife and I have enjoyed Dr. Spock in all the Star Trek programs. Thank you very much. They were good times. They were good times. There are obviously a lot of questions that Bill and I have been asked over the last number of years about Star Trek, and I think probably those questions are still of interest to some of you here tonight. I wonder how many of you are under 25? That actually means that you weren't even born when we went on the air with Star Trek. What are you so proud of? Like you had something to do with it? So I think maybe if Bill wants to come back... I remember all the years that we were making the series, when I would have to get to the studio at 6:30 in the morning, every morning, and to start to get the makeup on, because my makeup took a little longer than Bill's, a lot longer than Bill's. And Bill would show up around 7 or 7:15, as I recall. And by that time, I'd have the ears on, they'd be working on the eyebrows, and very sleepy. And Bill would come in, oh, I got to tell you what happened last night. Oh, my horse, and my wife, and my kids. And then I went down the street in a car, and the thing went this way, and the thing went that way. Leonard!
Well, I felt that I had to wake you out of your stupor. He gets the ears on and he goes to sleep. I don't understand it. As a sedative, we should have put the ears on the horse. Those days back in the makeup room 25 years ago. Interesting time.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, let's start with 25 years ago in the makeup room. You laugh. But how much trouble did you have with those ears?
I'll tell you, the days were long, and the work was hard, and the ears were not very comfortable. They itched. And I remember hot summer days, 66, 67, 68, when we'd be shooting for 12 hours for the day.